Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're almost in a relationship, but not really? Like you're always there for him, but he disappears the moment you need him? If that hit you in the gut, don't go anywhere, because you're about to hear the truth. No one else will tell you. In this video, I'm exposing the 5 signs he's only keeping you as an option, not because you're not amazing, but because he never intended to give you the place you deserve. And trust me, the longer you ignore these signs, the harder it becomes to walk away. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some guys will string you along for months, or even years, because it's easy. You're loyal, you care, you're understanding, and they know it. So they toss you just enough attention to keep you hopeful, but never enough to make you feel secure. This isn't just about spotting red flags. It's about reclaiming your clarity, your confidence, and your damn peace of mind. Because you didn't come this far just to settle for almost. By the end of this video, you'll not only know the signs, you'll know exactly what to do next. So if you're tired of overthinking his every message, wondering where you stand, and questioning your worth, stay right here. This could be the video that finally sets you free. Let's dive in. One of the most heartbreaking and confusing experiences in dating is when a guy starts off strong, messaging you daily, making you feel seen, wanted, and special, and then slowly starts to pull away. Suddenly you're the one initiating all the conversations. The replies come slower, shorter, colder. You begin to overthink every word you send. Did I say something wrong? Did I come on too strong? You start blaming yourself, but deep down, you know something has shifted. The truth is, inconsistency in communication is rarely about being busy or bad at texting. It's about interest, and more importantly, about priority. When someone truly values you, they don't let you sit in confusion. They don't play guessing games. They want to talk to you. They make the effort, because keeping you close matters to them. But when a guy is only half in, when he's unsure or emotionally unavailable, his effort becomes sporadic. His messages feel hollow. His calls stop coming, and you're left holding on to memories of how it used to be. But here's the hard truth. When a man communicates inconsistently, he's showing you, without saying a word, that you're not a priority. And the more you tolerate it, the more he learns that he doesn't have to give you more to keep you around. That's how you become the fallback, the just in case, the emotional backup plan. You deserve more than half-hearted effort. You deserve someone who doesn't make you question your worth every time your phone goes silent. If his attention feels like a reward you have to earn, it's not love. It's emotional manipulation. Stop shrinking your needs to fit into his lack of effort. Stop calling inconsistency mystery. A man who truly wants you will never risk losing you to silence. And if he can't be consistent with his words, he'll never be consistent with his actions. This isn't just about texting, it's about respect. And if you have to keep reminding someone how to treat you, they're not your person. Keep watching. The next sign will make things even clearer. There's a certain kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels like punishment. Like you're being put on pause until it benefits him to hit play again. And that's exactly what it feels like when a guy only reaches out when it's convenient for him. It's not just about when he calls or texts. It's why and how he does it that reveals everything. He doesn't check in when you're sick. He doesn't ask about that important meeting you were nervous about. He's never there when you're going through something real. But the second he's bored, lonely, or in the mood for attention, suddenly your phone lights up, and for a moment you feel chosen, wanted, seen. You start to convince yourself, maybe he does care, maybe I was overthinking it. But deep down you know the truth. He's not reaching out because he misses you. He's reaching out because it's convenient for him. And here's the thing, convenience doesn't equal connection. If his messages only come when the world slows down for him, or when other plans fall through, then you're not a priority, you're a placeholder, a backup plan, a safety net for his ego. And that's not love, that's emotional selfishness. You begin to notice the patterns. He never texts during the day, only at night. He disappears for days, and when he comes back, there's no explanation, just a flirty comment or a vague compliment to keep you emotionally invested. It's all about control. He gives just enough to make you stay, but never enough to give you peace. And because those moments of attention feel so good, you start waiting for them, like emotional breadcrumbs, leading you nowhere. What's worse is how quickly we start adjusting our standards. We start telling ourselves that at least he's texting, that maybe he's just not good at expressing himself, or he's probably just busy. But being busy doesn't stop someone who genuinely cares. When you matter to someone, they find time even if it's just a simple message to say they're thinking of you. Communication doesn't require hours, it requires intent. So ask yourself, are you hearing from him when you need support, or only when he needs attention? Does he show up when it's hard, or only when it's easy? If you find yourself waiting around for him to remember you exist, that's not affection, that's convenience. You don't deserve to be someone's afterthought. You don't deserve to be someone he reaches for in his loneliness, but forgets in his joy. Love is not about filling someone's empty moments. It's about being part of their full life. If his timing always serves him and never you, believe what it's telling you. The next sign reveals even more. Keep watching, because the clarity you've been craving is coming. There's a certain kind of distance that can exist even when someone is physically present. You could be sitting right next to him, texting every day, even sleeping in the same bed, and still feel completely alone. That's what it's like when a man avoids deep emotional connection. They'll give you just enough to keep the illusion of closeness alive. But the moment the relationship starts to ask for something deeper, something real, he pulls back. And when that happens, it doesn't just hurt. It's confusing. Because he can be affectionate. He can be sweet. He might even say things like, I really like you, or I care about you. But somehow it never goes beyond surface level. You'll notice he dodges serious conversations. If you ask where the relationship is going, he deflects or says, let's just go with the flow. If you open up about your past, your fears, or your future, he changes the subject, jokes it off, or gets strangely quiet. There's no emotional depth, no willingness to be vulnerable, and certainly no space for you to be. Every attempt you make to connect more deeply is either dismissed, delayed, or discouraged. And what's worse, he makes you feel like you're the problem for wanting more. Like you're asking for too much. Like emotional intimacy is some heavy burden that you should feel guilty for needing. But let's be honest, emotional connection isn't a luxury. It's the foundation of a real relationship. Without it, all you have is moments. Moments of laughter. Moments of passion. Moments that feel good but fade just as fast as they came. You're left clinging to fleeting highs while starving for something lasting. When a man avoids going deep, it's often because he's trying to protect himself from vulnerability, from accountability, from truly being seen. But that protection comes at your expense. It puts a ceiling on your connection. It keeps you locked in a cycle of almost intimacy, where you feel close, but never truly known, where you keep giving, hoping that one day he'll finally open up. But days turn into weeks and weeks into months, and he's still a stranger in so many ways. Emotionally, he's just not there. And honestly, he never intended to be. This isn't about rushing into something or forcing emotional intensity. It's about recognizing when someone has the capacity and the willingness to build something deep. If every vulnerable moment feels like you're talking to a wall, if every emotional request is met with silence or discomfort, then you have to ask yourself, are you truly in a relationship? Or are you just renting space in someone's comfort zone? You deserve emotional safety. You deserve to be able to share your heart and have it received, not rejected. You deserve someone who wants to understand the parts of you that aren't easy to explain. Someone who doesn't run from hard conversations but leans in because connection matters more to him than his own fear. If he's keeping things shallow, it's not because he's taking it slow. It's because he's keeping you at arm's length. And no matter how much effort you pour into it, you can't build a deep relationship with someone who's terrified of depth. Keep watching, because the next sign reveals another hard truth. And it's one too many people overlook until it's too late. There's a quiet exhaustion that comes from being the one who's always trying. It doesn't hit all at once, it builds slowly. One unanswered text, one cancelled plan, one more moment where you're the one checking in, initiating, reminding, holding it all together while he just shows up when it's convenient. If you've ever felt like the weight of the entire relationship is resting on your shoulders, chances are you've already felt this sign deep in your chest. You're the only one making the effort. You plan the dates. You send the good morning texts. You follow up when he goes silent. You remember the little things, his schedule, his favorite meals, his mood shifts, while he forgets your birthday unless you remind him the day before. And still, you give him the benefit of the doubt. You tell yourself he's just not expressive, that he's not used to being cared for, that maybe if you just keep showing up, eventually he'll see your worth and meet you halfway. But love doesn't work like that. Real connection isn't built on one person over-functioning while the other under-delivers. It's not supposed to feel like you're constantly chasing, proving, and stretching yourself thin just to feel choked. When effort is one-sided, it stops feeling romantic and starts feeling transactional, like you're trying to earn something that should have been mutual from the beginning. When a man truly values you, effort doesn't feel forced. He doesn't wait for you to plan everything. He wants to contribute. He takes initiative because he understands that your emotional labor isn't his entitlement. It's a gift. And that gift should be met with reciprocity, not silence or excuses. It's incredibly easy to lose yourself in a dynamic like this. You start to confuse effort with love. You think that if you just try harder, communicate better, be more understanding, lower your expectations, he'll finally step up. But all that does is teach him that you'll do the work for him. And the more you carry the emotional weight alone, the more he learns that he doesn't have to invest, because you'll never stop fighting for what he's barely showing up for. One-sided effort doesn't just hurt. It erodes your self-worth. You begin to internalize his lack of energy as a reflection of your value. You wonder, why am I not enough to make him try? But here's the truth. Your worth isn't measured by how hard someone works to keep you. It's defined by how clearly you recognize when they don't, and what you choose to do with that clarity. A man who's truly interested won't leave you guessing. You won't have to initiate everything. You won't have to wonder if he cares, because he'll show you. Not through grand gestures, but through consistent, thoughtful action. Through the small daily efforts that say, you matter to me and I'm willing to put in the work. If you're the only one reaching out, making plans, fixing problems, or holding things together, then you're not in a partnership, you're in a performance. And no matter how perfect your role is, you can't sustain a relationship that isn't mutual. So if you've been carrying all the weight, ask yourself one thing. When was the last time he showed up for you without being asked, reminded, or begged? If you can't remember, it's time to stop pouring your energy into someone who's only watching you do all the work. The next sign, it's the final nail in the coffin, and the one most women overlook until they're already too attached. Keep watching. There's a specific kind of frustration that builds when you're sharing time, emotions, and intimacy with someone who refuses to define what it actually is. You ask a simple, honest question. What are we? And suddenly, things get awkward. He changes the subject, gives you a vague answer like let's not label it, or says he's just going with the flow. And just like that, you're left dangling in a relationship without a name, without clarity, and without any sense of emotional security. When a man refuses to define the relationship, it's not because he doesn't know how he feels, it's because he does. He knows he enjoys your presence, your energy, your attention. He knows you're loyal, patient, and hoping for more. But he also knows that the second he puts a real title on it, it comes with expectations. And expectations mean accountability. So instead of stepping up, he keeps things in a gray zone where you're close enough to feel connected, but never close enough to feel secure. And that space, the undefined middle ground, is emotionally dangerous. It gives you just enough hope to stay, but not enough commitment to feel safe. You second guess yourself constantly. Are we exclusive? Is he talking to someone else? Am I allowed to bring up the future? You're emotionally invested, but walking on eggshells. You don't want to seem needy or pressure him, so you start shrinking your needs to make the relationship easier for him. You silence your instincts. You tolerate the uncertainty. And in doing so, you lose sight of what you actually deserve. Because here's the truth. A man who truly wants you will never leave you confused. You won't have to beg for definition. You won't have to decode mixed signals or translate vague texts. He'll want to claim the connection, not avoid it. He'll want you to know exactly where you stand, because he knows your peace of mind is more important than his fear of commitment. The refusal to define the relationship isn't about needing more time. It's about keeping his options open. It allows him to enjoy the benefits of a relationship. Your loyalty, your affection, your emotional support, without having to offer the structure, consistency, or respect that comes with being your actual partner. And that's not just unfair, it's manipulative. Because while he's avoiding the label, you're building emotional ties, holding space for a future that he may never intend to give you. It's not wrong to want clarity. It's not too much to ask for someone to either choose you fully or let you go. You are not difficult for wanting direction. You are discerning, because when you know your worth, you stop entertaining confusion as a form of connection. If you've been in this gray zone for weeks or even months, hoping that one day he'll wake up and decide to commit, ask yourself this: if he hasn't made it official by now, what is he actually waiting for? And more importantly, why are you still waiting with him? You are not an option. You are not a placeholder. You are not a question mark in someone else's emotional story. You are a woman worthy of certainty, respect, and real commitment. If he won't define it, you have every right to define it for yourself. And sometimes the most powerful decision you can make is to walk away from someone who's comfortable keeping you in limbo. Keep watching, because next we're going to bring all of this together. The final thoughts will help you recognize your power, reclaim your standards, and start choosing love that chooses you back. When you realize you're only being kept as an option, it's easy to feel a mix of confusion, disappointment, and even shame. You start questioning your own instincts. Was I imagining the connection? Did I expect too much? You replay every interaction, every message, every missed red flag. But here's the truth. Recognizing these signs isn't weakness. It's awareness. And what you choose to do next is where your power lives. Responding to being treated like an option doesn't mean playing games, becoming cold, or trying to make him chase you. That's not empowerment. That's reacting from pain. The real power comes from clarity, boundaries, and self-respect. It's about responding in a way that keeps you grounded in your truth, not lost in trying to earn someone else's validation. First, stop explaining your worth to someone who already sees it, but chooses not to honor it. You don't need to prove that you're enough. The right person won't need convincing. If someone's unsure about you, believe them. Don't try harder. Step back. Give yourself the distance to see the situation clearly, not through the lens of attachment or hope, but through the lens of self-protection. Next, communicate once and clearly. You don't need to send paragraph after paragraph, hoping your words will finally make them get it. Say how you feel. Say what you need. Say what you're no longer willing to tolerate. Then let their response, or lack of one, reveal their truth. If they deflect, gaslight, or make you feel guilty for wanting commitment or consistency, that's not your cue to fix it. That's your confirmation. Then honor your own boundaries. This part is hard, because walking away doesn't come with immediate relief. It comes with doubt, with silence, with the ache of breaking a cycle you got used to. But staying in something that's draining you, just because you're afraid of starting over, that's not love, that's fear. And fear has never been a good place to build a future from. Reclaim your time. Pour energy back into yourself, into your friendships, your passions, your peace. When you remove someone who only gives you half of what you need, you create space for someone who's ready to show up fully. But more than that, you show yourself that you're no longer available for almost love. It's also important not to internalize this experience as a reflection of your value. Someone else's inability to choose you is not evidence that you're unworthy. It's evidence that they're not capable of the depth, consistency, and maturity you require. Let that be about them, not about you. And finally, remember, walking away isn't losing. It's choosing. Choosing yourself. Choosing peace over confusion, consistency over chaos, real love over emotional crumbs. The way you respond to mistreatment teaches people how they're allowed to treat you, and it teaches you how deeply you're willing to stand in your own worth. You don't have to beg for clarity. You don't have to earn consistency. You don't have to audition for love. You just have to decide right now that your heart is too valuable to be an afterthought. When someone shows you they're only willing to give the bare minimum, respond with your absence, not your overcompensation. And that's how you stop losing yourself, by refusing to stay in places that require you to. Keep watching for the final thoughts that will tie this journey together and remind you just how powerful choosing yourself truly is. There's a painful beauty in almost love because it feels familiar and safe in its uncertainty. It lets you imagine the what if without ever having to face the hard reality of moving on. But almost love is exhausting. It's like trying to fill a glass that's already cracked. It never truly satisfies, no matter how much you pour in. And staying in it costs you more than just time. It costs you your peace, your confidence, and your capacity to trust again. You've heard all the signs, you've seen the patterns, and deep down, you already know the truth you don't want to admit. You deserve more than almost. More than the half-hearted text, the last-minute plans, the mixed signals, and the endless waiting for him to decide if you're worth the commitment. You deserve a love that shows up fully, not one that keeps you hanging on, hoping he'll one day choose you completely. You might worry that walking away means losing something precious. Maybe you fear being alone, or think you won't find anyone better. But the truth is, holding on to almost is what truly costs you. It keeps you stuck in a loop where your needs are always secondary, where your heart is never fully seen, and where your value is questioned. The pain of almost love isn't in losing, it's in settling. Settling for less than you deserve. And here's what I want you to really understand. You are not settling because you're flawed or unlovable. You're settling because the person you're with isn't capable of giving you what you need. And that's not your fault. It's a reflection of their readiness, their willingness, and their ability to show up. Not a reflection of your worth. You deserve someone who chooses you openly, proudly, and consistently. Someone who shows up when it's inconvenient, who talks about the future, who communicates with honesty and care. Someone who values your time, your emotions, and your heart as much as you value theirs. Because real love doesn't require you to shrink your expectations or silence your needs. It invites you to grow, to shine, and to feel safe being your full self. Choosing yourself means saying no to almost love and yes to real love. It means setting boundaries that protect your heart and your happiness. It means walking away from anything that dims your light or makes you question your value. And yes, it's scary. Yes, it's uncomfortable. But the freedom and peace that come from choosing yourself are worth every moment of discomfort. Remember, love isn't a game of patience where you wait for someone else to decide you're worthy. Love is a choice you make every day, starting with how you treat yourself. When you decide you deserve more than almost, you send a message to the universe that you're ready for the kind of love that doesn't make you doubt your worth. So right now, right here, make a promise to yourself. Promise to never settle for less than the full love you deserve. Promise to honor your feelings, your time, and your heart. Promise to walk away from anyone who keeps you in limbo, and open yourself up to someone who will never leave you guessing. You are worthy of love that's clear, consistent, and committed. You are worthy of a relationship where you're seen, heard, and treasured, not an option, not an afterthought. You deserve all that and more. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for being brave enough to face these truths. Your journey to real love starts with you. And when you choose yourself, you choose the possibility of something beautiful and lasting. Keep your head up, your heart strong, and never forget, you deserve more than almost. You deserve everything.